Okay, folks, welcome back to Friday evening edition. And we're going to do a little bit of prep here for tomorrow morning. A couple things that, well, that didn't take long. Okay. Anyhow, so we're going to do a little bit of figure prep here for tomorrow morning. So we did some of it today and have these little bits and pieces of plastic. And I swore it was quieter in my house before I went online, but I don't know, if it gets too loud and annoying, I'll just cut off the feed and start tomorrow morning. I figured I'd get something done. Okay. So one of the issues I ran into, I was cutting this plastic off the Africa core, the original MPC for me, but it's basically the Airfix Africa core, is that some of the figures, and I picked a selection of ones that aren't repeats, and but even the standing guys, and I expected it from the guys that are laying down, they're going to need to be on a special size stand because they're not going to fit on a penny. They just, no matter what you do, this guy's got like a stance that's, even the kneeling rifleman is bigger than the stand. So we're gonna go through our wood pile here and get some pieces and base these guys as well. But we need to clean the little bit of flash off of the plastic figures, which is the soft plastic figures, which is really the worst part about soft plastic figures, is that they have this flash that you can't just scrape off. You have to cut it off. You have to cut it off really carefully. So that's what we're going to do. I know this is super exciting, but I got to do it anyways. I'm going to do it one way or another. And we are going to have a morning episode tomorrow. We should, and Sunday for that matter. Get a little bit of a shovel in. One of these days, I'm going to try a figure conversion. I've only done a couple of them in 15 millimeter. With as many 15 millimeter figures as I painted, I've only done a couple of figure conversions in that. So, which, the biggest problem with the figure conversion is you're taking the neck off, so you're going to lose some space there. So if you got a guy that's really necky and you go and put his head on somebody else, then it kind of works. But you don't want to take a figure off that has a kind of scrunched up here. There'll be nothing to remove. And they supposedly make a kind of glue that works with these figures, but that's really the biggest problem with these soft plastic figures. Is not that they don't have detail. I mean, sure, there's soft plastic figures that don't have good detail. There's white metal figures that don't have good detail. But most of these that I have actually have pretty decent detail. It's just you have to take this flash off and you have to slice it. You can't just scrape it off. It'd be like ideal for that. Now, these figures actually came with the guns from Zvezda. They're actually hard plastic, so you could scrape those off, and they're actually really nice figures. But we're going to take a look. This is just a selection of the Africa core guys. They're basically all the unique guys that I didn't pick the guy that was surrendering, kind of useless. Really dislike those figures as a kid. Like, what do I need a guy surrendering for? You're a kid, the coolest figures are the guys that have the machine guns or have a flamethrower. Can't have too many of those guys. And then you find out, as you get older, that only the very unique elite troops even had flamethrowers. Not only just engineers, but combat engineers. Although I suspect some regular non-elite troops in the Marines had flamethrowers when they were storming some of those islands. We'll see who decides to show up tonight, if anybody. Been actually a really slow turnout on my videos since the election. Maybe everybody's in hiding. They're too busy celebrating or crying. And actually, this process is exhaustingly long. This takes a whole lot of time just to do this. And if you're wondering, why can't you just scrape the seams like I do on any other plastic model? Well, then you've obviously not tried to do it on soft plastic figures. It won't work. The weirdest thing happens. I'd actually like to see what it looks like under a microphone. Under a microphone? No, under a microscope. Something weird happens. Let's make sure we got all the live chat on here. There we go. There's 3 of you guys, or 3 bots, or something. Lots of silent watchers lately. I wonder if they're just waiting to see if Mitch makes an appearance. Come on, Mitch. Come on. No, they can't see you. No. Hey, Jack. Continuing on with the 88. Well, the 88 is done. I'm going to prime some desert troops. These are the old Airfix Africa Corps. We're going to clean these guys up. These are the ones I couldn't get to this morning, so I have to put them on a larger stand. They don't fit on pennies. We're going to have to put them on little pieces of wood, which isn't a big deal. It's not like it's going to be significantly bigger. But, these laying down guys. So we're going to clean these guys up, and then we're going to go get some Tommies and do the same with them. And, we'll prime them. That way we can paint them tomorrow morning. But these NPC figures, I have at least two sets of many of them. And they actually came in a couple different color codes. These are actually darker than Here's one of the earlier ones. It's almost like a yellow, and these darker ones are actually more stiff than the early yellower ones. But I don't know. I mean, they were both. You know, I got those in the early '80s probably. You know, we just never done anything with them. I ain't no bot. No, you're not. No, but I have a lot of people that will sit there like I can't tell who's online. I'm not allowed to for privacy reasons know who's online. So all it tells me is supposedly how many people are watching, and I'll go long periods of time with like 4 people watching and nobody's saying anything, and it's like I get it if you're pleasuring yourself while you're watching something, but this isn't that kind of channel. Hopefully, I'm not having that kind of thoughts for you guys. Yeah, I'm not sure if everybody knows that. But like, why isn't he saying anything to me? Because I don't know who's there. You know? I have no idea. Is it people that can't speak English? Is it people that are doing something nefarious that they shouldn't be doing? That don't want to be found out? Now, you don't have to interact with me at all the time, but if it's a person, like maybe you want to talk about the 88 or that model or other models or something like that. We can talk about whatever you want to. You know? Okay, this guy's done. And what we're going to do is we're going to trim him. We're going to trim him up. Where are the Tamiya clippers? No, I can't see anything without the glasses on. There we are. They're over here. So we're going to do something like, his figures are actually okay, other than his socks pulled up almost all the way to the belly button. Like, we'd be a little bit more relaxed fit than that. Like if you look at the gear that naval officers, I don't know if all of them did, but like British Navy, I'm not picking on the British Navy, but if you've seen pictures of British naval officers in tropical climates in the Second World War, they look kind of weird. They're wearing shorts and it's not very becoming. And I don't know why they decided to could have won the war sooner if they wouldn't have used so much elastic on their socks, kind of thing. You didn't watch last night, but you're too tired to join in. Enjoy the chat about pretty and ugly World War II aircraft. Yeah, everybody has an opinion. I did encounter somebody. I don't know if they were a troll or... I know this is going to be really hard to believe. And I have a hard time believing it as well. Somebody didn't like the looks of the Spitfire. Like, what's fucking wrong with you? Even people that were shot down by the Spitfire like the Spitfire. And same thing goes for the Hurricane. The Hurricane's a good-looking aircraft. There's ugly English aircraft, and it's not those two. It's not a Typhoon. It's not a Tempest. It's not even what is it? The Defiant. I think the Defiant. I don't care if it was an ineffective aircraft. The Defiant looks good with a ball turret in the back. It's a good-looking aircraft. But you got stuff like, what is it? A Skua. A Skua's pretty ugly, but it just looks disjointed. It looks like, well, we got the front of this and we got the back of this, and how about we morph them together? Let's stitch them together and see what we get. String bags. I think string bags are an attractive aircraft. They really are. I mean, look at all the World War I aircraft, and other than the Albatross, I think almost all of them are ugly. All of the. I don't think there's any Allied aircraft that I find attractive of the First World War. You take a Fairey Swordfish. A Fairey Swordfish is beautiful compared to all those. It's just the way. It's not the fact that it's a biped. It's just the way that the lines are. At least for me, I don't like the way a Fokker DR1 looks like. Looks all stumpy and shit. It's just. But I'm not a fan of radial engines, anyways. But I think a Swordfish is an attractive aircraft. And same thing with that. I was gonna do a bunch of float planes because I'm a naval gamer. So I was like, I haven't done planes in a long time. Let me do all a bunch of float planes because the thing about a float plane is you don't have to decide whether or not it's on the landing gear's up or down, right? It's on floats all the time. So you could do a walrus, you could do a fairy sea fox, you could do Rado 196, the Japanese ones that look pretty cool. Um, you can do a lot of them, and you don't have to be like, wow, should I put the wheels down? Because on one thing you want the wheels down because you could place it on stuff. Otherwise you got to hang it from your ceiling. Well, we're not 6 years old anymore, or 10 or 13, or so I can't really do that. Besides, it would get super dusty. But the aircraft look better in flight, obviously. But you got that whole how am I going to display this kind of thing. And display in a case just they take too much space. We were so lucky that the Spitfire and Hurricane came along when they did. Absolutely, most European aircraft were no match for the Luftwaffe. Well, you know what aircraft is actually really really attractive? The Hawker Fury. The Hawker Fury is an attractive aircraft. It's a biplane, okay. So what? Okay, so here is this Africa Corpsman, ready to go. Or as I like to call them, Nazi bastards. Did you catch the part where I came up with a name for the, I call the swastika the crooked spider. I actually had somebody knew that I did that, and they thought I invented it. I said, no, it's not me. It's the little girl from Sound of Music. When she goes back to the house and, she's upset that they got all the crooked spider people that are all grumpy. So I just call them the crooked spider. So the African Corps symbol is a crooked coconut. It's a coconut palm with a swastika on it. I don't know. I was amused. I amused myself. But one thing I've noticed is there's a lot of manufacturers that don't get the Tommy helmet correct. And I'm not talking about the 1944 Tommy helmet, because it did go through a change, which as a kid I really wasn't aware of. I think at that time nobody did the late war one. If they did late war British infantry, their helmet was the same, right? They didn't make the tortoise looking one. They had a name for it or something like that. It's not symmetrical. It like goes up more at the front, and it's just a little bit different. But if we put one of those nets on it with scrim on it, they all look the same, pretty much. But there's a lot of manufacturers, not Airfix, but there's a lot of manufacturers that can't get that steel pot right for the Tommies. I don't know what it is. Like it's sitting on the top of their head like a derby, or it doesn't have the right proportions. I've seen ones that almost look like a pith helmet. With the brim, if you add the distance of the two brims so if you picture this, you've got a helmet here. Let's see if I can draw this, because I didn't think it was that difficult. They almost look like a rice picker hat. If you add the distance of the two brims, it's almost the same distance as it is other than the two brims. Like that's just the wrong proportions, and it just looks weird. I don't want to buy them. Like this is what they look like. This is what the steel pot, the steel helmet looks like for the Brits. When Brits, I mean, Commonwealth guys too, but but the Spitfire and Hurricane, really attractive aircraft, Even the Finns, the Finns got a few Hurricanes. Put their crooked spider thing on it as well. I saw a rant on one of the history things that I subscribed to. I forget what it was, and they were talking about could the Soviet Union have won without Lend-Lease? I don't like doing lend lease stuff. You know, I don't think they should have lend leased anything to the Russians. Fuck them. That comes from my dad. He didn't understand either. So I don't like doing honeys. I don't like doing stewards for them or Churchills or anything like that. No, all my Churchills are good guys. Haven't gone there yet. I look forward to making those big beasts. Big old lumbering beast. So I'd get some Oh, I came across an article. I did not know this, and I don't know where it is now. I should have took a note where it was. But it was, you know what? I think it was on 172nd on the way. And it was talking about the GMC trucks. And it basically said that of all the Lend-Lease trucks, all of the Studebakers went to the Soviets. And the Studebaker is actually nice looking. The shape of the whole of the cab and everything is, I think, very attractive. So the Soviets got all those, and I'm like, oh man, didn't really realize that. I think it was I was trying to read the review of the Airfix GMC truck or something like that, and it just devolved into all the other stuff. So I did not know that. I did not know that. You know, I'm like a World War II nut, and there's lots of stuff that I still find to this day that I didn't know, like surprising things. That's good. You know, we have access to a lot more sources than we did 20 years ago. You know, there's a lot of lies and stuff out there too, but that's usually done by trolls that are wanting to make, you know, act cute. You know, oh, I'm cute, I'm going to send all these lemmings off a cliff. And that's about it. This guy doesn't have much flash. Let's trim his base down. You were lucky you guys didn't give up. Because, you know, it's kind of hard to invade Europe when you don't have somewhere you can base from, you know. Stage is what I was looking for. I don't fall into one of those people that think the British Empire is one of the 10 worst empires in the world. Like, I can't believe I came across that. I mean, if there's one thing, they were rated above the Mongols. Fuck the Mongols. I hate those guys. And it's one of those things that's like, you know, it's like a band that everybody likes and you don't like them. And you find out everybody likes them, like you like them less. Like, I don't like these guys. And people that like them have bad taste. Where's all my sticks? Wow. They were in my way the other day. What the hell happened to them? Damn, where's all my balsa wood at? Let's see if I can find it. It's gotta be in here. I don't know where it can be other than that. Nope. we're not going to use any Lipco stands for it. Balsa wood's just fine. Did I just find something I was missing? That wasn't it. I don't know where the hell my balsa wood is. It's got to be in the garage. I'll be right back. Shitload of this stuff. These long rods. I got these long rods that I was going to build a measuring device. Now it's bent. A long time ago for shipwreck. Those modern rules. Yeah, now it's bent. Fuck it, I ain't playing shipwreck. I can't be into everything. We did some bad things, but that period of history was acceptable. Looking back from modern times, it's frowned upon. Everybody did bad stuff. And when you did bad things, the people you were fighting did worse things. So, you know, yeah, it's relative. Okay. I want to get one that's about the same thickness as a penny. Okay, this is a little thicker, so we don't want to use that. I got lots of stuff here. These all need to bugger off. I think this is, no, this is that same thing. There we go. That's what we want. Yep. Okay, we'll keep this handy here. There's a name for it. I don't remember what it was. There's a name when you basically equate sins of the past with modern morals. I think a relativist, something I read it, and it was like, some people are just never going to be happy no matter what happens. So there he is, Francois. Welcome back. Francois, who's not French. Welcome back, man. How you been? We're playing around with some sand Nazis. Hey, all my Germans are Nazis and all my Russians are communists, and that keeps me from being accused of liking either one of these two guys. These guys had cool uniforms, but that's it. I took some pictures of the stuff I was working on with the palm tree motif there with the crooked spider on it. We blocked that out on purpose because, it's not that I'm worried about anybody getting offended. You know, I mean, I got more non-German stuff than I do German stuff by a large margin. But it's just that you got automatic red flags will go up, and then my channel gets banned, and then it won't get monetized, and then I got to go through appeal contest, and there's no money in it for them, so they're just gonna say no. So it's not worth it. What about your Indians? Are they SS too? I do have a guy with a buckler with a swastika on it. Mm-hmm. Just having a cooling beverage after finishing the lawns. More than one lawn. I'll be watched for a while. The 88 came out nicely. It did. I was a little disappointed that I was looking at all the 88 models, and the one I really wanted to get was the one from. Well, okay, let's back up. I really wanted to get this one for the Gun Crew because this Gun Crew is amazing. Really, really nice, and they're not soft plastic, and they're large, meaning they're more in the shape of 20mm figures. Okay, they're very nice, and all of them are unique, and they got some personality. But I wanted to get the Revell one because it came with a half track, and I really wanted to be able to do one of these guns with the little with the wheels on it, so it could fire on the go, and I was going to leave the two sides movable. I misremembered, like the Airfix or MPC is what it was called here. I had one of those, and of course it's like long trashed. But I don't think it came with a crew. Like it didn't come with the crew members here. They could ride in the half track, and they were all gimp looking, so that wouldn't really work either. But in my rush, I was looking at things, and I'm like, oh, this is $15. Okay, that's not bad. And then I come back to it, and the seller made me an offer for $13, and I'm like, yeah, let's just pull the trigger on. I mean, I just, I'll need it eventually. You gotta have an 88, Of course, on my field, it's only 200 meters away, so it's like point blank range for the 88. But, if there's gonna be Matildas, there's gotta be 88s. So, we'll probably pick up another one of the 88s with it. I think the Airfix one's probably, other than it's 176, and so it's a tiny little bit small. I think it's probably going to be really crude by today's standards. I got one of those SDKFZ 222s from the Airfix on the with a Recon set, and it's crude. The Kugelwagen's okay, but the 222 is super crude. I think Indian Legion would be a cool factor I've never heard of anyone doing. Like Indian troops in Burma? Well, they fought in North Africa too. And their officers, of course, were Anglo. And but I'm not sure at what level the officers were Anglo. If it was like sergeants or if it was like commissioned officers were. But yeah, that would be cool. I mean, honestly, if I wanted to do the stuff in Burma, that's what it would be. It would be Indians versus Japanese. I'd have too much fun with those accents. I say I'd get me into trouble, but people need to get some thicker skin. I'm not belittling any of those people. I love Indian food. Actually, I like listening to Indian people. It's very, I find it very soothing. But yeah, that would be cool. That would be cool. All in time, I got some Aussies here. Greg's dying for me to give him an Italian. I captured an Italian tank. Like you haven't even fought in a battle. This isn't the hand-me-down Legion. Like you got to at least win a battle to be able to get some tanks. We don't just like hand them to you. The 950th Infantry Regiment from India. Yeah, SS officers leading them. I'm not sure what it is. You mean Indian troops that actually fought for the Third Reich? I've never heard of that. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I've just never heard of it. I know that they had some Arab troops, but there was a figure manufacturer there's one figure manufacturer that's out of production now in 20 millimeter, and there's one that's I think still in production. And both of them do. I mean, I've got really thick skin. I don't mind doing SS, and at some point, I've never done them because way back when I'd be scared of doing their camouflage and screwing that up. But now I'm like, I bet I could knock. I bet I could kick it into outer space. I bet it would turn out where I'd be really happy with it. But and I don't have a problem with doing that because they were, a significant force in many battles. They'd be great for NPCs in my game. And but there's two companies. One of them was Battlefield Miniatures or Drew's Militia, and the other one is now called, is it CP? But it really bordered on they really like making these miniatures of really obscure Third Reich type of things, like Nazi, no, I'm gonna say Nazi doctors, because they didn't do anything like that, but they did stuff that was just really obscure stuff that's like, almost like when people joke like, oh, let me consult my underwear of the Third Reich Osprey book, like really, and I like that there's a lot of detail on the German stuff. I wish there was the equivalent amount of detail on the Allied stuff, because the Germans are interesting, but they do need to fight somebody else. It's not like all you can do is just Germans with the side of Germans. I prefer things that are a little bit more balanced, like that book that I have on the Desert War from Beta Fam to Operation Crusader is really well balanced as far as both sides, and even the details for the Italians as well. So I like things that are balanced like that. Yeah, Indian men that fought for Germany and British occupied India. Never heard of that. I would imagine they probably had to keep a low profile because they're probably outnumbered like a lot. But I still have one of their. I got one of their old catalogs from Battlefield, and I want to say the new one is CP models. They do just weird stuff like that. Like, it doesn't bother me, but it's just like, okay, I know you got a Third Reich fetish, but cut it down, cut it out. Where is it? I got one of those catalogs right here somewhere. Here it is. And I do like their figures, and I have many of their figures. And this, I don't know if this is the latest one. They've been out of business for a while. Well, this is in the year 2000. New 2000. This is before I even discovered that little DVA game. Let's see what we got here. Okay. American Bloody Omaha. Okay. So I got several of those. Okay. Hanshar Strike. This range of figures enables you to recreate the struggle for Muslim independence in World War II Bosnia against the communist partisans and nationalist Chetniks on the wargaming battlefield. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. The 13th Waffen-SS Division Hanshar was raised in the spring of 1943 from Muslim and Croatian volunteers as part of an ambitious plan to create a Muslim state in the Balkans under the control of the SS. Trained to the highest standards in France and Germany to escape Croatian interference, the men of the Hanshar entered the terrible battlefield of Bosnia early in 1940. I think it says 44. It's kind of hard to see. It's right here, kind of stuck in the middle, and this is just like a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy. Wearing the traditional fez and observing traditional Muslim religious customs, they gained a fearsome reputation in combat, giving and expecting no quarter as they cleared Bosnia of their traditional enemies. As the tide of war turned on the Axis occupiers in the Balkans, the members of the Hanshar found themselves fighting a bitter war outside their security zone. This led to some desertions by some elements fearing for the security of their families. Many Muslim volunteers were released from service and continued a guerrilla war in Bosnia in the vain hope of keeping the idea of a Muslim state alive. So they got like 2 infantry packs, a support pack, a command pack, pioneers, like not only you have special pioneers, but they're 13th SS Waffen Division Hanshar pioneers. Support pack with 81mm mortars. 5 figures climbing ropes, another infantry pack, a specific Hanshar gun crew for a pack 40. So you've got that. That's kind of, I'm like, okay, it's not raising any eyebrows yet. That's something different that they make, right? Then you got the Führer's Firemen. So this is Grossdeutschland guys, okay? Supposedly geared towards specific Grossdeutschland guys, late war. Okay, they've got, I don't know, 12, 13 packs of them. Okay, you can use them, other infantry, but they're suitable for other German infantry who also issue with a valuable camouflage uniform. It's guys that have Sumpfmuster. Okay, here's their Afrika Korps set. All right, cool. That would have been nice if it was still in production. Belgian fortress troops, guys from Eben Amel. Okay. British 8th Army, nothing wrong with that. You've got Afrika Korps, you've got to have the 8th Army. Bitter Winter, I actually have some of these figures. They're gorgeous figures. I plan on using them as just as regular, like 1942 or 1943 Germans. Once they had the camouflage uniform. Can't use them, not camouflage, but once they had like a, winter clothes as opposed to winter of 41. Yeah, so this is supposedly for the strike into Kharkov of the Leibstandart das Reich and Totenkopf in early of 43. I have some of those figures here. Fallschirmjägers, never been interested in Fallschirmjägers. It's just, I don't like their helmet. They're Goering's little bitches. I don't know. I'm just never cared for Fallschirmjägers. Luftwaffe Field Division. Hitler Youth and Volkssturm. German Fallschirmjägers heavy support weapons. Waffen SS Grenadiers. You see the trend here? Like we're seeing like there's some really bad folks that commit like atrocities. I'm not talking about war crimes. Everybody committed war crimes. I'm talking like atrocities. I'm not talking about like, these guys were shooting at us and then we came up to them and they threw their hands up and we decided we're going to shoot them anyways. I'm talking about going in there and like, let's get rid of these people. Like, the people that aren't even involved in the fighting, Pretty cool standard too, a leaping tiger. Gotta love tigers. Most of India was loyal to Britain, but there was a growing movement for independence. Waffen SS Grenadiers, and I got some of those guys. Never done anything with them. More Waffen SS Grenadiers. I'm like, where's the good guys? Oh, Russians. Where's the good guys? Streltsy. Early war listing Russians, Cossacks, other figures. Russian Liberation Army. Yeah, I don't do those. I don't do, oh, we're the good Russians. No, you're not. Commie bastard. Get out of here. Tank riders and engineer packs of flamethrowers. I got some of them. Poilu. This is French 1940 infantry. I don't have any of those. British paratroopers. Airborne parachutes. Airborne Crossing British Airborne. Rhine Crossing British Airborne. My bad. Okay. British paras. Jeeps. U.S. I didn't know they made U.S. Marine Corps. Well, here they are. British D-Day Royal Marine Commandos. Do they have that guy with the bagpipe? No. That one, I forget what his name is. He was a famous bagpiper. Went in and driving everybody crazy on the beaches. U.S. Airborne. Early war Balkan partisans. World War II refugees. I would have loved to have these. 3 men walking, carrying luggage. 3 women walking, carrying luggage. One man kneeling, two women kneeling. I don't want to know what they're doing. Man pushing bicycle laden with baggage. Two women walking, pushing pram. Catholic priest and two nuns walking. Two men, one. Yeah, it's cool stuff. Then you got crews, rudders, rangers. I got some of these guys. If I paint these guys up, I'm going to use them for the Philippines, even though they're not correct. But I don't want to do point to hawk stuff. Super detailed commissions. Not too bad, but the other company just does really weird stuff, like, doctors and, they don't do like, Dr. Mengele doctors, okay, but they just do like, it's like super heavy on SS stuff, and it's like, just kind of makes you go, Captain Jack. Yeah, I don't like those SS ranks. The toilet boil Führer and the, all this kind of Führer stuff, Not a fan. So I always considered you playing the Germans are kind of like a crafty enemy, like super crafty. And the SS guys are more like, we don't need to be crafty. We're just going in straight, and if we take a bunch of casualties, so be it. So they're like less German than the Germans. I don't know. It's kind of this perception that I have, anyways. Captain Jack. Oh, the guy. His name was John Malcolm Thorpe Fleming Churchill. Wow. His name is my name too. John Malcolm Thorpe Fleming Churchill. Also, Mad Jack, Fighting Jack Churchill, or Captain Jack. The Bagpiper? This game has rules for Bagpiper. I'll get one. I think it's pretty cool. Besides, every time his turn comes up, I get to make some annoying bagpipe type sound. That's the real reason to do it. So, there's a lot of like internal dislike. Especially in that time period, through all the time periods in Britain, for all their different, what am I going to call them? Countries, states, whatever. Wales, the Irish, Scotland, so forth. So, did people in other times, like World War I, World War II, like, that didn't like the Scots, did they get really like, servicemen that didn't like the Scots, they get really annoying when their bagpiper showed up, like, oh, fuck this guy again, Did that happen, or they're just like, well, at least that noise is on our side, or, 2 a.m. here, hopefully you can go to sleep now. Good, I put you to sleep. Yeah, he carried a claymore sword in a battle on Normandy. Ooh. Wow. Like one thing that surprised me is, and I didn't remember this. Shame on me for not remembering this. In the Commonwealth forces that were in North Africa, there was a Scottish division. I forget which one it was. Highlanders, 15th Highlanders, something like that, or 51st, probably the 51st, right? Because the 50th was Lowland, and I don't know, whatever. So there was a Highland division there was a Scottish division that was in North Africa, And Revell makes figures for them in this scale, and they have a little bagpipe guy, right? Or maybe two of them come in the pack or what have you. And they actually have troops that had the little Bonnie Bonnet type hats. I don't know what they're called. Sorry, I've never painted one. And I'm like, I look at the figures on Plastic Soldier Review, and I'm like, that doesn't look like that. They wouldn't have worn stuff like that. And I looked through pictures, and sure enough, they did. They so that's kind of cool. So I'm probably going to do the same type of thing with the Australians. I've got about a squad of Australians that are authentic Australians. So if I need more than that, I will bump them up with regular Brits. Sorry. Doing a cruise line? We're not. No, we're going to Spain in January, supposedly. Going to the motherland. There he is, Mr. Plastic Soldier himself. What's up, Marcus? We're prepping some of these. We're prepping some of these desert figures so that I can paint some of them tomorrow. I think that's what I'm going to do. Some of these old school, just one of each. I didn't feel like actually painting any of them today. I don't know who I'm going to do first. But I've said I like my British and Commonwealth vehicles better than the Afrika Korps because they're more creative. But I like the Afrika Korps infantry better because I think there's a tendency for them to be more mismatched color wise because they might have had like a tropical blouse. That's what it's called, a tropical blouse that isn't faded yet, but then pants that are. So I think that would kind of the Italy crew is wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful, and they're hard plastic, so I can scrape off the lines, unlike these guys, which it takes a long time. Probably the worst thing is it's not that bad. It just I'd like to actually look at a microscope and see exactly what's going on. Like, what is it fuzzy? What's going on here? You gotta cut this off. You gotta cut these things off like it's really expensive bacon. It's like this really high-end prosciutto that you just get a tiny little taste of everything. What part of Spain for how long? Well, again, supposedly, right? My daughter is supposed to go to study abroad for a semester in Sevilla. So that's in the southern part. So we're going to eventually make ourselves up there, but the plan is to spend a couple weeks there. But we'll see. It'll only be like the 10th time we've tried to go to Europe, and it's never worked any other time. So we'll see. Yeah, we tried like 10 times to go to Europe. It's too damn far away. It's actually the jet lag is going to be brutal, because you're going to lose like a day doing all that, and it's not even the expense. I mean, yeah, it's expensive, but you can budget that in. But it is going to be a nightmare to take that many days off in a row, and it's going to be a nightmare for the people that are. It's almost kind of like, man, let me quit my job and I'll start a new one when I get back. It's going to be a shit show of unusual size. So, it's kind of like the opposite of how things were in World War II, right? In World War II, what was the saying that they had that the Brits were overworked? Something the underpaid and under Eisenhower, whatever kind of thing. We're overworked in this country. It's not that it's overworked. It's like you got nobody to cover for you. It's like you can't just punch the time clock and everything will just stay where it is. I don't have one of those kind of jobs. Well, maybe if I did have one of those jobs, I wouldn't be able to afford to go to Spain. So there's that. So, but she's supposed to spend a semester over there. So we're planning on going over there with her and then leaving her. Um, but that's the plan. Apt to change at any moment. And like I always said, if I tell you I have a plan and it changes, I'm the first one to get pissed. I don't like to like plan things and then things go sideways. If there's any sideways going, it was against my wishes. But that's supposed to be late January of 2025. We'll see. Let's hope we don't have another COVID scare. I'm fully expecting it. I'm fully expecting some shit show like that. Sounds nice. I hope it works out. It's time to. It's not that far west of Europe from Florida. Try Europe from Australia. Yeah, well, that's they sent you comic books way the hell over there. We got lively chat tonight. I hope so, man. Welcome back. That's the whole point, is to have lively chat. So, yeah, my only fear is there's going to be another COVID thing and everything will overreact and shut everything down. And I'm not going to Europe wearing a mask. I won't fucking go. You know, I don't need to go that bad. So, let's hope I'm wrong. But, see, that's the one thing about, ever since COVID happened, I'm like really, it's hard to get excited about going places. Like I've gone, see, how many years has it been? It's been 3 or 4 years. I've gone on 3 or 4 vacations every year, and it's hard to get excited that the vacation's coming up. And you don't realize you're on the vacation even when you're on the vacation. It's just not that I'm disappointed, or it's just like I'm just waiting for the shoe to drop. I'm just waiting for, the rug get pulled out from under us, because it's happened so many times, and yeah, so. Anyhow, so that's the plan, but it's only been like the 10th time that we went. We were supposed to go, the year we went to Canada instead. So I guess it was last winter. We were going to go to Europe. We were going to do a European cruise. Canceled. The European cruise decided, oh, we're not doing this leg. We're going to send the ship to somewhere else instead. Like they canceled. Well, I mean, they cancel it in June, so it's not like, ta-da, you can't go tomorrow kind of thing. We had enough notice, but it's just disappointing. So it's kind of hard to get excited about something knowing that the rug get pulled out from under you. So, I mean, going to Australia would be worse. I mean, you guys are like, light years away from us. But it wasn't until we went to Canada that I got to go to another country that was not a third world country, and it was wonderful going to another country that was not a third world country. It was great because you had all the comforts that I'm used to, and you're somewhere else. Not like, don't drink the water, look out for this, look out for the other thing, don't go over there. That guy, Zvezda Pack 36 next to the 88, good kit. Zvezda's weird. It is the Zvezda 36, Pack 36. This is the infantry gun. I've got the hot one as well. That's like bouncy, rubbery. I haven't painted it yet. Those come in like a 4-pack. They all have different issues. I think the Zvezda they have the problem that's called realistic barrels. They're on the opposite end of the spectrum of Plastic Soldier Company. Plastic Soldier Company tends to make barrels and stuff like robust. These are like almost true to form. If you look at the barrel of 75 millimeter, it didn't even come drilled out. Let me find my phone. I'll show you a picture of it. Might be a little hard to see because it is primed in black. Sloppily primed in black, I should say, because I didn't airbrush this one. I actually hand painted it this morning. Let's see if I can get a good representative photo of this. But the barrel is like diminutive. And it doesn't even look like it's 75 millimeter. We're going to get really in there. And I had to drill it out. So Zvezda is kind of like the white metal equivalent of SHQ. I have some SHQ figures, and the barrels are like ready to break at any moment because they're like realistically sized. Um, I've got some Zvezda kits. I've got a 37 millimeter Russian anti-aircraft gun, and I've got an 85 millimeter Russian anti-aircraft gun. And the crewmen that came on those were not very good. They were misshapen and stuff. These crew are superb. These four figures are as good as Tamiya figures in 1/35th scale, detail wise. They're really, really good. They're superb figures. Yeah, superb figures. Yeah, knocking them down with, knocking them down with your breath. So a little delicate, you know. You have the hot 75 mm infantry gun. They're okay, but not as good as some of the hard plastic. SHQ seems more 1/76 scale. They are, yeah. Yeah, I don't like SHQ because a lot of the guys are have even less personality than these figures, for instance. Like they literally all have exactly the same equipment. At least the ones I do. You know, so it's like, you know, they all look the same. They're all like the same guy in different poses, in slightly different poses. They're not even that different. I got some Russians with SVTs, semi-automatic rifles, and they suck. They're just not very good. But at least I don't hate them, like my FAA figures, which I don't like them at all. They're definitely due for head swaps, for sure. So I don't know that I'm going to paint any African core tomorrow morning. I'm just feeling the mood to chit chat and take some of this stuff off. I did see somebody said, "Oh, the best way to take this flash is just hold a match and kind of near it." I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm not willing to sacrifice a figure. We'll just go low and sacrifice a figure to the volcano. No, we're just gonna go low and slow. We're just gonna take it slow. Now, one thing that I wanted to get is I need a couple 2-pounders, and the 2-pounder that's made by Zvezda only has the BEF type of gear. They all have long pants and long sleeves, and so does several other manufacturers. Actually, so does the Simon Soldiers one. The Simon Soldiers Africa 2-pounder crew also has long pants and whatever. So I'm thinking, well, why can't I just use them? You know, why can't I use the gun crew in the 2-pounder gun crew as they are? So, but those are running expensive. I mean, this seems like a steal for like $13. Yeah, the other ones they want like, I don't know, 17 for one. You know, it's like, you know, I don't really need it right now, so I'm good. But I guess a lot of people watch the unboxing of the 88. It's a pretty popular video. I'm surprised. You know? You never know what people are going to like. Well, the old Airfix figures are great. They are. I do agree with what you said the other night about the MP41 that the guy carries versus an MP40. You know, I only have one of those figures left over, and he's broken at the ankle, so I'm not going to use him. I don't have any NCOs. So, you know, if I need to put a squad of Africa War together, I need to buy some NCOs. And they don't mean send me no NCOs. I'm good. I got a few figures where I gotta worry about that stuff. But, you know, Plastic Soldier Company really helps because there's an Eschi set that's actually hard plastic and has a couple of NCOs on there. And I forget who it was that made one of them that has some super action pose type figures. They got like a guy like, you know, like carrying an MG34 whatever, and there's some MP40 armed troops in there, but I don't think any of the scenarios have more than like 2 squads of Germans, you know. So this is more than enough to keep me busy for the time being. But the ones that are made by Plastic Soldier Company, I don't like them. They look goofy. Goofy ass looking soldiers. Don't believe me? Go look at them. They look goofy. Look like a cross between FAA and Essex. All right, this is the MG34 Chrome. Where's my? That is mein Tweezer. SG has a kneeling soldier firing MP40. That's excellent. Yeah, they've got a set. Who is it that makes this thing? See, this is what I love about working on this. I can go on, I can look things up. There's no hurry. It's not like I only got 5 more hours to get done before the convention. F that. We'll be done when we're done. Reading the second volume, how to reset your internet. Huh. Reading the second volume of World War II novel covering the Greek and Crete campaigns. It's called White Rabbit, and it's from a Kiwi perspective. We're painting Italians. Well, we're cleaning up Germans. We'll work our way into the Italians as well. Yeah, the Italian figures are actually pretty freaking cool. The ones that Marcus sent me, there's some pretty cool figures. Let's go to Plastic Soldier Review. Plastic Soldier Review. That's a freaking great site. Great site. And there's a lot of periods that I'm not even looking at. Take me to World War II, damn it. And where is the sand Nazis? Okay, so Italeri makes German Africa Corps. Well, this German Africa Corps that they make is just the old Eschi figures. You know, they got cool box art, but it's just these Eschi Africa Corps figures. And they just have these poses that are just weird. Just really weird. If you look at this guy all the way. He's an NCO. He's got an MP40. He's grabbing it in a strange way. He's balanced on one foot. It's just kind of odd there. It's almost like a flat. One of those flat figures that's two-dimensional, just the way that he's shaped. So you figure, okay, well, he's the only guy that's weird. Well, this guy's helmet doesn't fit on great. I'm telling you, compared to the Airfix figures, the Airfix figures are better than these. Okay? This hat doesn't sit quite on the top of his head. This guy's alright, but it looks like a little bit more like a Fallschirmjäger. Here's another guy who doesn't have, his hat doesn't fit on right on the top of his head. Well, at least we got one guy that's doesn't have his socks up to his belly button. Their poses are they're weird. This is an Eschi pose, a mortar man, and they do it almost like two-dimensional figure. It's almost like one of those tin flats. It's just really weird. But they also make this Italeri DAC infantry, and the Italeri DAC infantry has some cool figures. They're not the same. These are specific Italeri figures. I mean, you've got some guys that are in some action poses there. Marcus, do you have that set? Because, well, you know, I don't need to get this for like a friggin' year, or more. I mean, I got a lot of stuff to paint, you know, but I do need some NCOs with MP40s. I could use about 6 of them. So there's like 6 different guys in here like that. This guy, these poses up here, it's like they're in like some first-person shooter type game. No, I'm good. Don't send me anything. I'm getting overwhelmed with stuff. Let me earn them. Gotta sign off for now. Try to catch you next time. Okay. 1:20 Saturday here on the east coast of Australia. Well, it's the east coast subcontinents are the only ones that count, right? I think so. Wait, what's the east coast of Europe? Doesn't apply to Europe. It's facing the wrong way. All right, did we get this MG34 guy cleaned up? I believe we did. Okay. What do you have? What are you missing? I need to send you some stuff. Make you feel overwhelmed. But I've got several sets of Eschi stuff, and of course they're not on sprues, because I had them when I was younger. Like, who's gonna leave stuff on sprues? That's like buying something and not opening the package. Like, what's wrong with you? But I've got like Japanese, I've got French, which are really a weird bag. They're kind of a strange, but they're like a mix of like 1940 French and some make believe guys and some partisans and some free French, and what else I have? I got some SU Russians. I mean, those figures are super bendy. But I had this perspective that the plastic figures just don't have good detail. All these plastic figures, the ones you sent me, the ones I have, they look pretty darn good. The details sometimes aren't as jagged. They're not as jagged as white metal figures, which means you've got to paint you got to use, like, if you want to do like a lot of folds and stuff, you got to make up some of the folds. It's not just like it's less, paint by numbers than the other figures. The white metal ones are more paint by numbers. Like, you can tell where one article of clothing ends or more than this. But their faces, they all have good faces. Okay, and then the last guy here, and then we'll glue these guys on stands. And I really like this Slows gel, this repositional gel, super glue. I'm gonna have to watch the parts of Raiders of the Lost Ark to get inspiration for different uniform colors for these different fading type things. Even though they got the wrong boots, right? Because I don't think any of them used they didn't use in the desert. They didn't use the stormtrooper boots. They used other stuff. Those stormtrooper boots are probably dry rot in the moment, with the dry conditions. And in the movie, they're all wearing stormtrooper boots. So I looked through all Chad's prints tonight. Man, the detail's going to be keeping me busy. It's amazing stuff. It's amazing stuff. It's amazing. What'd you get? You got some Panzer. You got some Panzer. You got some Panzer IIs. You got a Firefly. I don't remember. That Sherman that Kulan just released, it looks freaking amazing. But like, we're not doing the end of the desert stuff right now. You collect mainly 15 millimeter and 10 millimeter miniatures. Those details are afterthoughts for me. Hey Maroon, what's happening? You're starting with a Grant. The Grant is a coffin for 7 brothers. I want to paint something with that desert pink. Well, we'll get to Tunisia eventually. That's the problem, is I want to do everything. And I mean, I guess I can. You know, if I'm willing to not play a game, which isn't the big motivator for me, I can hop around all I want. But I need to knock out some things I already have before I start getting more stuff, because it's just kind of, it's eating at me a little bit. I don't have anybody that's watchdogging like, hey, why are you buying all this stuff? I'm not buying that much stuff, but you know, I want to finish things. It feels good to, you know, it feels good to be able to say, hey, I had this figure since 1982 and I finally painted one. And actually, to be honest with you, I had no intention of using any plastic figures. Like, who wants to use plastic figures? And then I had to buy the gun crew, the Soviet tank crew, and liked them so much, the dismount. I'm like, maybe we got to look at these plastic figures that we have laying around, you know? I would do 10 millimeter before I do 28s. I'm not doing 28s. No, you don't need me to do 28s, okay? Lots of people do 28s already, okay? You don't need me to do 28s. Okay, so. Oh my God, this guy doesn't fit in here either. Man, put your freaking legs together, dude. Guy's laying in the sun like a whore. Is this the same? This is the same thickness it is. It just looks a lot thicker. All right, Mr. Africa Core Man. You're going to be on one of these. Well, this is going to be like a little diorama stand. I do need to leave myself a little bit of room to be able to put his name tag on there. And the name tag on these desert guys, the color of the tag is going to be the same color as the base of the dirt. Which I believe the dirt that we've been using is British uniform as the base color. So it's a little lighter than the other one, so that's what we're going to have for that. Let's cover the rifle inside. I've had this balsa wood for decades. Basswood, sorry, not balsa wood. Balsa wood's not worth a shit as far as I'm concerned. Basswood. Balsa wood is too fibrous-y, and it's the styrofoam of wood. Keep it PG-13? Aw, come on, man. Nah, just say whatever's on my mind. That's how I roll. Everybody else does that. And they have ill intent. I at least have good intentions. You know, the way I look at it is, if you ever run into me on the street, I'm exactly the same I am on the show. I'm not one of those people. It's like, you know, there's some people on some other channels that are like, you know, they act like, you know, real happy and on the channel. They meet them in real life and like, you know. Woody Allen, no, I don't know, you know. PG-13s, there's nipples in PG-13. Remember the movies, the first movies they did PG-13? It was like, you know, soft pornish. Whoop. Should I glue this guy down and then paint him on there? Yeah, I think so. That's for this. We'll do all the gluing together. All right, what's this? Anybody else has got their legs open? Like they're open for business? Hey, I don't design the figures. I am not the figure designer. Man, these guys are like barely fitting on here. I want the rifle to be kind of inside the figure so we don't. I'm afraid of clipping it on something and then it get damaged. You've used balsa to make some houses. Red Dawn was the first PG-13 movie. You balsa make some houses, soaks up the paint. Probably gonna have to go back and fix up those at some point. Well, this sanding sealer I have is incredible. I'm a huge fan of that stuff. And that was just kind of a fluke. Well, I ended up getting it because I needed it to seal this thing. This MDF thing that was just like a paint soaker. That's like the hardest thing I've ever put together. Because the tolerances are so thick, and I had to paint it before I put it together, and that little bit of paint on both ends made it so difficult to get the pieces in place. But I mean, I'm glad I got it now. But man, it was a pain. I came up with a few choice words. I made up a few choice words putting this thing together. Red Dawn's rated R. I'm pretty sure Red Dawn's rated R. PG-13. First PG-13 movie I saw was, let's see, what was it? 1984 or something like that? 84, 85 when it came out with. European Vacation is PG-13. And it has boobs in it. Movies from the 80s. Everybody made a big deal like, boobs! Like, just boobs, man. You know, not that big of a deal. This guy that's doing his yoga. Mauser yoga. What's that pose? It's called downward frog. PG-13s had slight nudity. Yeah. I remember when I was a kid, I watched PG-13 movies with my parents, and I was really like embarrassed. Not my daughter. My daughter, when she grew up, she'd watch movies and she'd ask questions I would have been mortified to ask my parents. You know, which I guess is good that she's that way. You know, but yeah. But I had older parents, so I was like, nah, I don't want to bring nothing out. Right? Nothing to see here. Make it a little bit bigger, so if we want to put the name tag on the actual back, which is my preference, but then I might actually put it on the side, so. Unfortunately, these figures won't weigh anything, but if they hit the ground, which they shouldn't do, if they hit the ground, it's not the end of the world. Terminator first rated R movie. Oh man, what was my first rated R movie? I remember one movie. It wasn't my first rated R movie, but I remember one movie that I saw that was rated R that was extremely graphic, and that was RoboCop. RoboCop was extremely graphic. Now I've only seen it one time, and I saw it in 1988, so probably now I'd be like, you know. But I remember it being extremely graphic. Many eons ago. I didn't have an older brother, so I didn't watch. I really didn't watch rated R movies before, unless they played it on TV, in which case it would have been edited. Until I was already like legal age to watch them. You know, I wasn't watching. Well, okay, one exception. I was at because my parents were really super strict about watching things on television. Super super strict. Um, we went to this family friend that lived in Mexico. They were kind of well to do in Mexico, and there was the lady, the mother had gone to school with my stepmother, and you know, they had kids my age and stuff and watched movies, and I was like 10 or 11 years old on that trip, and they showed me Halloween, the Halloween movie, and I couldn't fucking sleep. I couldn't sleep at all. I remember, the only thing I remember about that movie is that freaking, I don't watch horror, but I mean, I'm freaking 10 years old. Like, stuff affects you when you're freaking 10 years old. Or 13 or something like that. It was 13 or less. And when that guy puts the freaking knife that's this thing through the guy and stabs him into the wall. And actually, it's funny, like, 2 Halloweens ago, I actually watched it on Halloween. I'm like, alright, let me go and revisit this. And I'm like, you know, it's, of course, nothing now, you know, but, you know, you're a kid, you know. Blue Thunder is rated R? My parents were super strict about movies. Super strict. They weren't strict about alcohol, though. Not that I drank all the time, but it's just like, you know, Thanksgiving and stuff. I'm like a kid, and I'm like, yeah, I have a little bit of wine. It's not a big deal. Don't want the helicopter, yeah. Silver Bullet used to give me nightmares as a kid. Yeah. Yeah, I don't like stuff with scary masks. And I don't mean like Michael Myers. That's not a scary mask. That's, you know, I'm talking like demonic shit. Like, no, we don't do that. That Krampus thing that those people do in Germany, that wouldn't fly here. They'd have that freaking mask mounted on some mantle somewhere. Like, you don't run around with like a demonic, you know, demonic type mask like that and scare people. Nope. Not in this America. Jaws used to scare me. I've been wanting to see that with my daughter, but you know, it just, like, I don't even think about sharks. I mean, I know they're there, but you know, if I'm at the beach and I'm the only person there, maybe I think about it. But you know, I figure, why am I really going to be the tastiest thing out there? I've seen what I look like at the beach, and I see what other things are at the beach, and they're tastier than I am. So I think I'm probably pretty safe. Tremors. Really? Tremors was a scary movie? It was like, really? See, I think Tremors is as scary as... Tremors is a movie... Now, I've only saw it once, and I saw it way back in the day. But isn't like the feel of Tremors similar to the feel of Starship Troopers? Where it's like, you know, jokingly, like black humor, like, oh, look at all these guys that died, you know. I don't know. Tremors, I only saw it one time. You know, how many of those Tremors movies they make? Like 3 or 4 of them or something like that? Like, yeah, my parents were super strict about what I watched. And I can't remember if it was like because of violence. I don't know, I've always played with violent stuff, and I'm not a violent person because I get to play with violent stuff. Like, you know, if I'm like, you know, collecting flowers or something, yeah, maybe I want to kill somebody in real life, but you know. You have to remember you're 5 or 6 old when you're 5 years old when you saw it. Well, remember the first time you saw a Watership Down? That was fucked. That was fucked up. Watership Down. It's a cartoon, like, whoa, you know. Yeah, I didn't like that. I did not like that. Yeah, you don't need to be seeing that when you're 5 or 6 years old, especially if you're not watching it with an adult. You know, because an adult can be like, okay, something scary is coming, but don't worry because it's all BS. Or, you know, they could pep talk you, but you don't have that other person. So, you know. You know, one thing I never did with my daughter, I never scared her. I never, like, you know, chased her around the house with, you know, wearing a bed sheet or a scary mask. Or just, there's nothing good can come from that. It just never occurred for me. Like, there's no point in going down that road. You know? All I remember is, man, the freaking blood and teeth. I'm like, blood and teeth. It's like it's a little bunny rabbit. Not today, pal. Like, whoa, easy. Now, as an adult, I'll watch things, and things are, you're expecting something to be scary and it's not, but you're still sitting at the edge of your seat. Um, there's several movies that were that way. I remember the first time I saw 2001 Space Odyssey. Right? Not a scary movie, right? And there's that one scene, and I saw it as an adult for the first time, I don't know, in my 20s probably. And, and there's that scene where the alien is sitting at the table eating. And in frickin' Kubrick's fucked up filming style, where he's got something shoved in the corner happening and something over here. I was expecting something to jump out or a loud noise or, you know, something like that. I was expecting, like, you know, something that would turn into like that that Del Toro movie with the Pan's Labyrinth, with that creature that's eating at the table with the, you know, that creature, which is scary as all get out. Okay. I was expecting that alien to turn into one of those type situations. Ended up like nothing happening, but I was like I was like waiting for something to happen. The Shining. I'd never seen The Shining until maybe 2 years ago. Just never got around to seeing it. I'm like, oh, this is a horror movie. All right, I'm prepared. What a letdown. That movie sucked. I mean, there's nothing appealing about watching that movie at all. Wasn't scary. Wasn't worth watching. You know. Sometimes when you wait too long to watch something, it's like, really, this is what everybody's like all, you know, talking about. Like, this isn't worth watching. Uh, I think I'm gonna have to, because of the shape of this guy. I'm gonna have to glue him like that. I'd like for him to fit on a little one, but he's gonna overhang, and we don't need that at all. So we need this. We could make it a tiny little bit smaller, but it's really probably not worthwhile. We're gonna do it right here. And there was one other movie that was also the same way. I was like expecting it to be A, it ended up being something totally different. But I don't do scary masks. I can't tell you how many times, you know, I've been on Netflix or something like that, you know, looking for something to watch, or some program where as you sort through movies it gives you a little screenshot of the front of the movie. Like if you were buying it on a VHS tape, right? Like the front or a DVD or whatever, like the little cover of what it is. You know, there's these tiny little icons, you know, when you're scrolling through, well, what's that movie? And it just gives you kind of like a tiny little snippet of it. And there's one movie I've never seen, and it's supposedly not a scary movie, but every time I see this creature, it literally puts it like somebody has walked over my grave, and it is God, what's it called? I've mentioned it before. The movie with Jake Gyllenhaal in it. Um, God, what's that thing called? I don't want to search for it. I'll see that freaking thing. But it's that bunny that's supposedly not an evil character. It just kind of ties him into telling something bad's gonna happen to him in the future. But just the face, whoever designed that freaking that that face, it's just like creepy as shit. Like if I see that in a dark alley, I'm unloading and reloading on that thing. But it's a demon, so it wouldn't really help. But Donnie Darko, Donnie Darko. The cover of Donnie Darko with that thing sitting in the movie theater is just creepy as shit. That's what I can't handle. Clowns, F you and your clowns, man. Evil demonic bunny is where it's at. That's disturbing. Or any, goat type creatures with horns and no, we're not going there. We're not going there. Yeah, Donnie Darko, yeah. The cover of that, every time I see it, I've never seen the movie. It just disturbs me that creature, whatever it's called. He's got a silly name like Tim or Bob or Felix or something like that. Whatever the guy, right. If you've seen the movie, he's not an evil character, I think. But you look at it and I'm like, no, absolutely not. Nope. We're not dealing with that. We're not dealing with that today. I remember when I was a kid in the late 70s. I forget what was playing, but whatever night, Saturday night, there would be something I'd watch, and then it would roll around at 10 o'clock. It would roll into Fantasy Island, right? Cheesy ass, stupid show. At least a third of the episodes of Fantasy Island had one of the characters that made a deal with the devil. Okay? And the devil was just like, there wasn't like a demonic creature. It was just some dude, like, could have looked like, who's that guy that was in everything back in the 70s? Roddy McDowell. It could have been somebody just totally harmless looking, but it was like, and it always like disturbed me. Like I didn't want to and I'm not somebody who like thinks about demonic shit at all, but I'm like, you don't want to expose kids to stuff like that. Nothing good can come from that. Okay, I was talking about grenades last night. Oh yeah, I always like talking about grenades. They're fascinating. They're a huge reason why I game in the scale that I do, because of grenades. Grenades is the meat and potato. Actually, they're the potato. They're the meat and potato of... I was talking about grenades last night. I thought German potato masher design was actually better than the pineapple grenades we had. That little handle added more leverage to throw further. So, the game I play does a couple different differentiations. It has range that things are thrown, and also blast radius. Okay? In that game, the potato masher goes farther than a pineapple grenade. However, its blast radius is smaller because technically the potato masher, as you're used to thinking of what it is, because there's other forms that it took with other sleeves and stuff that they put on there. But the standard potato masher with the little ball you pull on the string at the end, because they also had one that was the little ball at the top. You'd unscrew it and that would be the primer or whatever. But the normal one where you pull that and then you gotta throw that thing, or you're gonna turn a hamburger, is what you call an offensive grenade. And an offensive grenade is more bang, less shrapnel. So it's mainly to like, okay, we're gonna clear this room, we're gonna throw these things, it'll be a blast, it'll be a loud sound, it's gonna disorient the guys, but we can come in like right after it, and while they're in a daze, finish the guys off, right? That's really what it's for. As opposed to defensive grenade, that's basically like, you're in a foxhole and you throw it to try to get lots of guys and pin them down. Offensive grenades are really to use in an offensive role, to clear a room and then go right into the room right afterwards, which is really what grenades are for. They're almost like, so offensive grenades in World War II would be considered more like what you would consider a flashbang is now. You stun the guys and come in there and right after them and and clean up. So that's really what the potato masher was considered is an offensive grenade, and they made different sleeves for them. And the Germans used egg grenades as well. You don't think of them. You think of the Germans always having the potato masher. But the good thing about the potato masher is you can shove it in a boot. You can put it through your belt loop. Under your belt. It's kind of handy as far as that goes. You know. And the Germans had. I mean, the Russians had a potato masher type grenade. I forget what the hell it's called. And so did the Japanese. So all the bad guys had. Oh, you said Russians. You said bad guys. Yep, Russians were the bad guys, also. And yeah, they had whatever the Russian one's called, RGB something or another. But yeah, that's really that's the layman's terms of it. I'm not an expert, but I read stuff, and I think it's fascinating. I'm just waiting for somebody to say, well, why are you so fascinated about things that kill people? I said, well, why do people that are pacifists and aren't child molesters like to watch horror movies where some pretty girl is killed for no reason or mangled in a bad way? It's just, that's my equivalent of it. Actually, I don't like horror movies because of that. You got some pretty girl that gets a gory death just because she's pretty. I'm just thinking, this is the director that couldn't get laid when he was 18 and he's like taking that all out on, we'll get some pretty girl and we'll have her get mangled. I'm like, not cool, man, not cool, Be more of a gentleman, man, none of that crap. It's still kind of catty-wampus, a little bit. It doesn't need to be perfect, but it needs to not be the first thing your eye sees. Whoa, hot potato. Saw a diorama on one group somebody posted, and it was basically like, I don't remember what scale it was, maybe it was 1/35th scale, and it was a Panzer II in Africa with some Afrika Korps guys, and they had just shot a hippopotamus. So it was like in the desert. I just saw it today. And I was thinking, did I comment on it? Yeah, I think I did. And when I see stuff that's funny like that, I usually like to post the very first thing that comes to mind. So there's this hippo like in the middle of the desert. The first thing I thought of is fish out of water. When you're playing Marco Polo and some kid cheats by getting out of the water, it's fish out of water, right? I don't know. Poor hippo getting killed by sand Nazis. It's all, well, war is so terrible, otherwise we don't grow too fond of it. Yeah. Have you seen that, the new All Quiet on the Western Front? Speaking of war is terrible, did you see that? I was going to say from the German perspective. Yeah, they're both from the German perspective. Oh, actually, there's more than one version of it. I never saw the black and white one. I don't do black and white. The one that I really liked, I was actually surprised I was going to like it, is I really liked 1917. I thought 1917 was done really well. There was one scene in the middle of it that was kind of boring. But other than that, I thought 1917 was actually pretty good. It surprised me. Like, it did some things I wasn't expecting, which is always welcome, but so rare to find in a movie for me. I thought it was just as the old one with Ernest Borgnine in it. Just as good as the one with John Boy. Ernest Borgnine just doesn't make a very believable German. And I like him. There's nothing wrong with old Ernest, but I saw that once and I remember not liking it. But I don't know why. It was so long ago. The new one did a job of showing war being ugly like nothing else. I don't remember any movie showing war being as ugly as that one. And I think it should. I think it should show that it's, a freaking gore fest. I just didn't like the way they handled the main character being basically a wimp, getting bloodlust, and cooling down from that bloodlust immediately. I just didn't find that very believable. I thought that the rapidity, woo, hey, it's a weekend word, right? The rapidity in which he cooled down from the bloodlust as soon as he did mortally wounded the other soldier was too unbelievable. It didn't. I'm not saying that couldn't have happened. It's not. I wouldn't have written it that way, So, but the special effects were good, and it's gory as shit. And they really should show war movies gory as shit, because as much as we like to play with these little toys, it's horrible stuff. It's absolutely horrible stuff. But I mean, it's always happened. But still, that doesn't mean that it's, I feel like every single one of these is turning into a trapezoid. Well, it's an easy fix after the fact. I just like to get it right the first time. You look at this, that's huge of a stand. You put a guy on, I'm like, it can't really be much smaller. That's where the guy's got to be. Okay, so this is the Sand Nazis. All right, we're going to use this repositionable gel. I've been really happy with that. All right, let's get these. Deutsches Troopers. And I do have a Rommel figure floating around. And I don't mean the one that comes with the Airfix set. I mean, I got an actual Rommel figure. I got this German general set. Again, they don't make it for all the other countries, unfortunately, but they make this German general set from, I want to say it's a company called Audemars. And they make like 24 German generals or something like that. I think it's 24. It's more than 16. Supposedly famous ones. So you got Rommel, and you got Manstein, and you got Guderian, and you've got all these other German generals, Sepp Dietrich, and that kind of stuff. Hauser. They're kind of girthy figures, like they're rather large. They're not diminutive. Sand Nazis. You mean the Iranians? No, Africa Corps, man. Sand Nazis. Nah, we're not talking about modern shit. I don't play no modern shit. Alright, we got these Africa Corps guys. Move them off to the side, and we're going to look at the Tommies. Should have those guys around here somewhere. Right down here. I think the officer figure I've got for the Africa Corps, he's kaput. He's got his arm missing. Your Cold War junkie couldn't be helped. Yeah, this officer figure is really badass looking, but he's missing a hand. So, sorry about that. We don't need any surrender guys. Guys haven't even fought and they're surrendering. I got one of every pose, basically. I don't have the guy with a shovel. You're no good to me. Besides, he's got an MP44 or something like that. He's got a weird submachine gun on his back. I'm not opposed to using more than one of the figures, but let's get one of each painted first before we start getting a bunch of different poses. Alright, we got one of these running Tommies. Let's see what else we got in here. Of all the Airfix figures, style figures that I have, these two sets are my favorite. Look, I even got a guy painted. I painted this guy probably around 1989, something like that. No primer. Left the ground color as the ground color on him. Piece of crap by today's standards. Alright, what do we got here? We got, let's divvy up what we have here. We got this guy that's got a Sten submachine gun, and they really weren't in the desert. Or at least certainly not in the early part of the desert. This guy's got a Thompson, that's good. Yeah, that's what they used as the weapon for the NCOs. We don't have that guy yet. We don't have one of those yet. Rifleman firing, he's got a shitload of flash. Maybe there'll be a version that has a little bit less. A kneeler. This officer, we gotta paint him. This is a great figure. I remember when I played my British and against my Germans, he had a little Toyota Jeep that was sand color. And that was his vehicle. He'd given that thing. It was khaki colored Jeep. Just seemed appropriate. This guy's gesticulating. Well, we're using big words today in a weird way. You strange gesticulator. Okay, what kind of... I don't want to get a guy that has a metric ton of flash if I can avoid it. This barrel's a little bit better. How about this? We need a standing guy with the... Yeah, this guy's even bendier. Hey, GB. Stand Nazis. Flash. Savior of the universe. Flash. Ah, that's right. That's another movie I need to watch again. I only saw it as a kid. It's probably horrible, isn't it? I'll chase that with some Buck Rogers while I'm at it. I don't remember a whole lot about the 70s, thankfully. People wore some. It's proof people were on some drugs back then. They wore some crazy stuff. Okay, this guy is like prodding one of these sand Nazis that's on the ground. Here, like that? You like that? You like that? Okay, we don't have one of those. Okay, we're not going to paint the guys with the Sten submachine guns. That's out of period. We got one of them. We got a guy standing firing. We got a guy kneeling firing. Unfortunately, this damn Bren gunner is like, he's trying to sneak up on somebody with a Bren gun. Like, you should be laying down suppressive fire, dumbass. You silly chap. Let's see. Yeah, this guy's better. And, where's this Thompson? Is Thompson guy good? Good? Yep. And we got the guy running. And we got the Vickers crew, but I'm not gonna, oh, the coolest guy. This guy's awesome. This guy's slipping through the binocs. Guy's looking through the binocs. I only have one of those, don't I? Only one has survived. Let's put it that way. Yeah, only one has survived. We got this dumbass holding the mine clearing. I can't think of anything. The troops that are always the most useless as a kid are these guys that are the sweeping for mines, and then anybody that has anything to do with a Bangalore torpedo. It's like, those guys suck. Useless. Plucky Brits and their Sten guns. Yeah, not in 1940 they didn't have them, so we're not going to mess with the Vickers right now. Alright, so this is what, these are the plucky Brits. It's getting pretty late. Of course, most people, I have a feeling most people are night owls. They're not early morning risers like I am. I became an early morning riser when I had my daughter. She was young. I'm like, man, if I'm gonna get any hobby time, I gotta do it early while she's asleep. Yeah, but all these guys have a good helmet on them. The helmet looks freaking fantabulous on all these guys. Unlike some British helmets that are out there. Night Owl Gang. Yeah, man, I used to stay up till like 2. And then Saturday would roll around and I'd sleep until fucking 11 or something like that, and the whole day would be gone. Flash. Watch that guy. And the main guy that played Flash Gordon, he looked like a freaking double dork. double dork looking, Stretch Armstrong looking. I'm gonna stop for the night, but yeah, this is fun. You know, I like just like this. We're gonna have a happy little pile of rocks over here next to this MG34 gunner, and unfortunately, the bipod doesn't go all the way to the ground, but there's gonna be texture on this, and it'll all look good when we're done with that. I think Americans and Germans have the best helmet designs. Well, you know what I found out the other day, and it called me stupid. I didn't realize that a rifle bullet can go through a helmet. That the helmet's not there to stop bullets from rifles. I'm like, what? What? Yeah, it's like for grenades and artillery and stuff like that. So, didn't know that. Okay, folks. Well, we'll see you guys on the next one. Tomorrow morning we'll be on in just a few hours, and we'll pick up where we left off. All right, have a good evening. Evening.